Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and happy 4th of July to everyone. I hope you are all having a wonderful summer so far. And yeah, so I'm going to do some 4th of July nails. This was inspired by a set that I did for a client, and I'm just going to go ahead and recreate it the same way I did on her nails. So I'm just quickly going through the colors that I'll be using. You can see them up on the screen. Most of them are from Madam Glam. I do use a couple of Wildflowers products and some D&D polish, and then some stamping from Maniology. So I will finish going through the rest of the polishes. This is just a sheer pink. I opened it up to show you guys because there isn't a swatch topper on the top. And then I have a base coat and top coat. We will be using a shiny top coat for these today, and just some white stamping polish. And we'll be doing some stars. So that's the plate M054 from Maniology. You can save 10% if you use my code LynNails10 at maniology.com. You can also use my code LYN35 at Madam Glam and save 35% off of your order at Madam Glam. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the base coat. Oh, and I grabbed a couple more. I'll show a couple more polishes that I grab along the way. But I've went ahead and base coated all of the nails. And then we're going to go in with our colors for the first coat. And these are going to be like a mix and match set. I'm sure you've maybe seen from the thumbnail if I included it in the thumbnail. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do 2 coats of each of the colors on all 10 nails, and I'll just buzz through that real quick, and then I will be right back to start in on the art. Okay, so after I've got both of those coats cured, we're going to go in first with our first nail, and we're going to go with the bloom gel. We're going to do 1 thin layer over top of the whole nail, and I have put out on my little palette some of the Wildflowers white gel polish. I believe it's called tissue paper. I think I show the bottle. Yep, it's just white gel polish. And I'm going to take my dotting tool, and I'm using kind of a medium to small end, and we're just going to pick up a little bit and do like a little sideways dot. So you're not just like dotting it straight down, but you're kind of dragging it across a little bit, and that's just going to help it spread out and be more of that like alligator print. So we're going to go down the middle, and then I like to alternate going down the sides. So I'll go down a couple and then switch to the other side. That way they kind of bloom out together, and like one side isn't all bloomed out while the other one, you know, still looking like just regular dots. So once I've got that on there and I've let it kind of sit and bloom as much as I'm gonna let it bloom, you can let it sit for as long as you want. I'm gonna pop that in. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab the red nail from the other side, and we're going to do the same thing. So these are going to be matching but opposite colors. So I'm just going to do the same thing. We're just going down the center, making kind of an oblong like dot, and then going down the side. And this one I kind of went a couple more at a time. And I did speed this video up slightly just so it wouldn't be super duper long, because I am doing 10 nails. So it's a little bit faster than real time, but you kind of get the point of what I'm doing. So next, I think we are going to, what am I doing next? Oh, I think I'm doing the Bomb Pop nails next. So I put some of the light blue, the dark blue, the white, the red, kind of like all of my colors that I'm going to be using out onto my palette. I actually grabbed some brown. I don't know if I showed that one, but I'm going to use some brown as well. So on this nail, we're going to do some little bomb pops, and I'm just going to start in with the red. And these are just basic shapes. Like, I'm not trying to be super technical with this, so I'm just basically making a U shape, and then I'm kind of filling it in and just roughly filling it in. I'm not worried about it being straight across. I'm not worried about it being, even at the bottom, because those popsicles, they kind of like they're melted together. They kind of have the colors kind of ombre together. So I wasn't going to get super overly technical and try to blend everything. I was just going to layer them on top. So that's just kind of how I did it. So I'm just kind of like making a little point at the top by pulling the polish kind of up to a little bit of a point. And then when I have them how I like them, I'm going to go ahead and pop them in for a quick flash cure. And then we're going to go in with our next color, which is the white. So we're going to do the middle of our bomb pop, and I'm literally just like messily slopping it on there with very little polish on my brush. I have a very teeny tiny detail brush with very little polish. And I actually went and tapped a little bit of it off because I went up a little too high. But I'm just going to do that to all three of our little bomb pops. And we're just kind of getting that like messy blend of the little popsicle. You can go as technical as you want. You can go as detailed as you want. I just wanted some cute little bomb pop shapes. And I'm just going to take a little bit of the red now while that white is still wet. And I'm just going to kind of dot through there and just kind of blend a little bit so there isn't a harsh line, so it kind of looks a little bit more blended. And then we will give that a little flash cure. And then next up, we are going to go in with the blue. And this one I am going to make straighter across the bottom, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not going to just blend it down and leave it rough because, the popsicle kind of has a top and a bottom. So we're just going to make like a little square and then kind of blend it up into the white. And I will do that on all three of them. And it's just, you're just getting the basic shape. It doesn't, and it's going to be smaller, like on her nails. I'll try to pop up a picture. If not, go check out my Instagram. It is at linnails_81 as well. I am that everywhere. But her nails were super duper short, so we had to go super duper tiny. You're not going to get crazy details on super duper tiny nails, so it's fine. Oh, there's the brown. It's called Oracle from Madam Glam. And after I've cured the blue, I'm going to go in now with my little detail brush, and we're just going to add a little stick, a little popsicle stick. And then that will be it for the bomb pops. And they're looking cute. So we're going to give that a full cure. And while that is curing, I think I'll go ahead and move on to the next nail. And I'm not sure what I'm doing on this one yet. Oh, this one is the flag. Okay. So I decided to paint a flag. I mean, I guess I didn't decide. I was recreating the set that I did for my client. So I was kind of following that inspiration picture. And so I just drew a little like kind of rectangle, and I'm just going to use the bottle brush to fill it in just because this is on a tip. On a person, you would continue to use the detail brush to kind of fill in that square and being careful to not get it all up in the cuticles. So now I'm just going to take, I think I decided to make it just a little bit longer because we are on a longer nail. So I made that rectangle just a little bit bigger. And once I have it how I like it, I'm going to go ahead and pop that in and give it a cure. I think I just did like probably a 30-second cure to then move on to the next step. And there's our little bomb pops all cured. Okay, so now we have that cured. We're going to go in now with the red, and we're going to do stripes. Now, these don't have to be perfectly straight. They don't have to be perfectly symmetrical. They don't have to be, it's art. We're hand painting on a little canvas. So it can be however rustic you want it to be. So these nails are like more of a coffin shape or like a tapered square, like a long tapered square. So I did not worry about keeping the distance between the stripes perfectly straight because it would have kind of gone off the side of the nail. So I worried more about following the contour of the nail so they get a little bit closer to each other toward the tip, which it looks fine. It turned out looking cute. So you just kind of like follow what the nail gives you. You don't have to just keep it perfectly straight. You can follow down the line of the nail. I think I got a little bit of polish where I didn't want it, so I just took my dotting tool. Then I decided to grab a cleanup brush, and I'm just going to wipe that off a little bit so it doesn't drive me crazy. And there we go, fixed my little line. And then I'm going to add one more. And then we will go ahead and give that a cure. I believe I cured it probably for another 30 seconds just to kind of freeze it in place so that we could go in with our next step. And as I was doing this on my client, we kind of bounced back and forth from hand to hand. In doing this video, it was just kind of easier to work on down one side because I could pop just the nail in the lamp and cure it while I was working on the other one. So this next nail here, I skipped over one because I think the red and the blue that's on the other hand, those are going to be the ones that have stars. So I skipped those because that's stamping, and I'm just going to do both of those together. But I went ahead to, this one is the pinky, I believe, on this hand, and we're just doing a stripe. So I'm just kind of doing kind of a random thick and thin stripe pattern. And we're going to do the red and the blue. You can do one stripe at a time and cure it if you feel that is necessary. I just went in and did it with both colors because they weren't going to be close enough to touch. So I'm just going in, I put a thick red line and then a thinner red line next to it. And then I went in with the blue and did the same thing. So I'm going to go, and I'm just using very light pressure to drag the brush down to get that thin line. And pressure is key when you're doing lines, like depending on how thick or thin you want them to be. The more pressure you push down on the brush, the thicker your line is going to be. So if you use just the very tip with light pressure with enough product, you can drag it down the nail and you're going to get a nice thin line. We'll go ahead and pop that in and cure that. And now that our flag is cured, I must have done a full cure on that since I went to the next line or the next nail. But so now I'm going to add my little stars, and I wasn't even going to try to do little itty bitty stars. So I just kind of did little X's, and they kind of look like stars. I ended up doing, I think, just little dots on my client because her nails were way, way shorter. So that little square was way, way smaller. So we just did some little tiny dots to indicate the stars on the blue. So I'm just going to go in. I think I kind of offset them a little bit like they are on the flag. So the next row goes in between, and then the next row back to the original, you know. If you've seen an American flag, you know what it looks like. If you haven't, it kind of looks like that nail. But yeah, so now moving on to the thumb for the next hand here, and I'm going to get my big dotting tool because we're going to do some red, white, and blue, well, red and blue smiley faces. So I'm just getting a little bit more red because I needed a little bit more red because I used a lot of it. So we're going to go in and I'm just going to make a couple of dots. I use my dotting tool. I use that big dotting tool to get enough product as like a big drop, and then I kind of just circle around to make it bigger. And they don't have to be perfect. If you're looking for perfect, there are stamping plates that have circles and squares and stars and all that. So you can, you could do that. I do have a couple of stamping plates that have some smiley face shapes, but this is what I did on my client. So I just recreated it again on these nails. So I'm just kind of, until I'm happy with the size and the shape of the circle, I just kind of swirl my dotting tool around, smoothing out the edges. You can also take your detail brush, like a little tiny detail brush. You could also take that and smooth out the edges and round them out a little bit if that works for you. But I'm just going to go in. I think I do a couple of each. And I think on her nails, I think we did just like one of the red and a couple of the blue, because her nails were way smaller. But on this longer nail, I just wanted to make sure that I filled out the entire nail so it was full. And I didn't want to do great big huge smiley faces. I wanted them to be small because they were cute and dainty. So we'll go ahead and give that a full cure, I believe, maybe 30-second cure, because we are going to go on top of that. So at least a 30-second cure, not like a 10-second cure. But if you go in with like a 30-second, it'll cure it enough that you can go in and then next we're going to do our little faces. So I just went randomly placing the eyes so that they're not all like perfectly straight up and down. So there's a couple of them that are kind of sideways, one that's upside down. We've got, I think I put little eyes on the other blue one that's just a partial. But then I'm going to take my little detail brush. This detail brush is actually my newest one from the brand Starly. And they have just restocked a lot of their brushes, but they're really nice. I'm really loving them. So once I get all the little smiley faces on there, I'm going to go ahead and give that a full cure. And then we're moving on to our next pink nail, which is our next negative space nail. And I'm not sure yet what I do on this nail. Maybe this is the firework nail. Oh no, this is the one that's USA. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a US and an A in red, white, and blue. So I'm just starting in the middle. That way it'll be as centered as it can be. And getting the size down so that I make sure I have enough room for the U and the A on the other side. So I'm just gonna kind of, faff with that, as you UK ladies say, until I'm happy with the shape and the size of the S. And it's not perfect, but it's like, this is art. Art is all subjective. You can do whatever you want. I think it makes it fun and quirky. So once we have that cured, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go in. I think I do the A next. And I probably should have done the U, because I will boop it with my finger trying to do the U, because I'm like, oh, I can do both of them. They're not going to touch. So I should have done the U first. But I just went in and wrote in an A, and now we're going to go in with the U. And I use my pinky to balance myself. And I usually use it on the person's finger, or I'm holding the person's finger and it's then resting on my own finger. So with this tip, I didn't quite have that to lean on. So like right there is where I boop it. And I was like, oh, well, okay, I'll just go back and fix it. We haven't cured anything yet, so it'll be fine. So I just went back in with the blue and I'm just straightening that line back up, and it looks fine. It says USA. You can read it. I can read it. It's all good. So then once we have that fully cured, I'm going to go in with the little detail brush again, and I'm going to add a little bit of detail to the U and the A in white. So it's kind of, I guess it's kind of reminiscent of the stars and stripes, because on the U they had like lines going down it, so like a pinstripe or whatever on the U, and then on the A there was like little dashes going down. So it was kind of like the stars, stars on the blue, stripes on the red. So that's what I did to kind of emulate that. And I apologize that some of this is kind of out of focus, but I do bring it up so you can see it. And then we'll give that a full cure. And then we will move on, I believe, to the next white nail. And I believe this one will be our fireworks. So this is kind of, okay, I ended up stamping on her nails just because it was a little quicker, faster, easier. But I'm just going to go in and draw out this firework. I had a cat hair. Get that off of there. And I'm just using my little brush to just kind of randomly like drag some of that polish out from the center. And then I'll take and pull some into the center, and then we'll flash cure that. So I'm kind of like layering. So I'll go in with the blue. I try to do like the darkest colors first and then come in with like the lighter colors on top. So like all of it doesn't get like covered up. So I'm literally just touching the brush and then pulling it away. So you just kind of get that like random, you don't want it to be too calculated, but just kind of looks like something that's exploding. So now I'm going to go in with the silver, and I think I do go just a little bit slower with this because I'm kind of following the lines that I've already created with the other colors, because I didn't necessarily want to cover them up. I just kind of wanted to highlight them. And I'm just going to kind of, again, I'm going to pull some from the top down or the bottom up, and then I will go from the inside to the outside. And there's our little firework. Looking cute. And you can do as many layers as you want. You can do them in any color you want. I just stuck to the red, white, and blue because the whole set was red, white, and blue. I kind of wish I'd added a little bit of the light blue in there to kind of tie that in with the rest of them, or the one that's got the smiley faces on it. But I think it turned out cute. So now we're going to go in with our stamping, and again, we've got the red and the blue full nails, one on each hand. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to wipe off the sticky layer. I have stamped before on a sticky layer and it transfers okay, but other times it's like a little too like slimy sticky and it doesn't want to transfer. So I've just kind of gotten in the habit of yeah, wiping off the sticky layer. And then these nails are longer, so I'm going to have to like double stamp to fill the entire nail. But longer nails, you would only need to do it once. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp both of those nails, and then that's basically going to be it. So I'm going to stop my rambling and I'll wrap it up, because next is just, you know, top coating it and finishing it off. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me today and for watching this video. I hope you all have an amazing day. I hope everybody is having a fabulous summertime, and happy 4th of July to all of you here in the US. And yeah, I hope you all have a good day, a good week, and a good month, and all the things. Don't forget, use my code LynNails10 at Maniology to save 10%. And also use my code Lynn35. I'll pop those all up on the screen on Madam Glam to save yourself 35%. You can click on the link that is in the description for each one of those, and it'll take you there. I do link all of my discount codes in the description of my videos, so take a peek at the description, scroll all the way down. It will show you all of my discount codes and or affiliate codes and links. So please do check those out. And yeah, once again, I thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. Have an amazing day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Enjoy the rest of the video. See you later. Bye.